Hi, I'm Dr. Mike with ExecuSpec Leadership Development, and I just want to ask a question. Are you looking for something that might help enhance your team development? How do you coach your managers and your leaders in your current situation? Maybe you need something that might be a little bit different for talent acquisition. Maybe you're tired of the personality assessments. I don't know. Maybe what you're using is working for you, but if you'll give me about 10 minutes in this video, I want to explain the power and effectiveness of SKAN PRO talent acquisition and team management. Here's what this looks like. Let me get my head out of the way for you here. Our product not only measures the personality traits of an individual, but it goes beyond that. It measures the personality traits against the most important competencies that your leaders in your organization should possess. Now, what you're looking at is case study number 1 and case study number 2. Case study number 1 on the left, case study number 2 on the right. The top half of this is our personality graphic. Now, you can see a clear difference between case study number 1 and study number 2. There's a lot of personality in study number 1 and not a lot in number 2. This is a good thing. We like number 2 over number 1. We like the low personality scores. The reason for that is because the stronger the personality, the more prevalent a personality is in a leadership and communication context, the less they're going to be effective in the 7 most important competencies that define servant and transformational leadership. That's what you're looking at on the bottom half of this matrix. Servant leadership as defined by assuring, self-awareness, empathy. Transformational as defined by critical thinking and problem solving. We call that visionary. Empowering, collaborative, otherwise known as creativity. We're going to change that word. And decision making. Now, the difference between these two graphics is case study number 1 has an overall score of a 3.6. You need at least a 5.0 in the overall score of these two leadership styles, servant and transformational leaders. This isn't something that we decided. These 7 competencies, scholarly articles, books have been written about servant leadership, transformational leadership, and the effectiveness that comes out of this in a communication and a leadership context. The reality is personality interferes with that. As a person has a lot of personality in their communication and leadership, they are essentially dictating to the individual or to the event or circumstance what they think is the best way to lead and communicate in that context. Servant and transformational leadership people who master this, who understand these competencies, they recognize that they allow the workers or the employees to dictate to the leader how they should be led. This is how leadership has been done for millennia. People understand that if we're going to effectively move somebody from point A to point B, we have to know what inspires them, know what motivates them, know what shuts them down. As you can see in case study number 2, this particular individual has a strong presence of servant leadership and transformational leadership. 5.9 overall score for this individual. And good solid scores. But it's really important that we look at the empowering score. That's a little bit low, but that's okay. We're going to talk about why this is going to be useful for you moving forward. So this, in a nutshell, is the results that come out of our SKAN PRO product. You have this assessment, you deploy this either in a pre-employment assessment or to all of your employees so that you have on record who they are, what they are, how they communicate, and how they lead. Now, I just want to show this graphic here really quickly because I want to do like a side-by-side comparison of SKAN PRO with some of the assessments that are available out there that are probably the most well-known. The thing that we have to understand is they all have a personality element to them, but this is where SKAN PRO separates. Everything is based on personality with these other assessments. We have a personality element to ours, as you just saw, but here's what we understand. Personality is not the best way to decide whether or not somebody is qualified for a job or whether or not they're qualified for a promotion. Wharton University came out with a study recently that said if you are using personality assessments to decide whether or not somebody is qualified, then you are potentially making a very costly promotional or hiring mistake. So yes, all of these have a personality dimension to them as well as an unlimited use to them. All four of them, you can use them as much and as often as you want. But here is where we part ways. Is there any value for using these products again and again on current employees? Let's talk about a team management situation. You have somebody in your organization, you run this product on them, you run this assessment on them, you have this on record that they're a solid servant leader, solid transformational leader, but yet you don't know where they're going to be next year. What we do know is that personality fluctuates. It is not a static thing. It transitions from one behavior or one temperament to another. That is an undisputed fact. It is widely known that it happens. But here's what we run into. What we want to know is what is driving that change. These other personality assessments aren't going to tell you that. They're only going to show you the change. SKAN PRO will show you why the change. This is the presence of that competency graphic. The competency graphic is going to show you why the change in personality. Something changed in their empathy. Something changed in their servant leadership or their transformational leadership. How they're communicating, how they're relating is going to be the answer to that. Situational awareness. As you saw with our case study number 1 and 2, you can clearly see that there is color across the personality spectrum. This is what Dr. Carl Jung, the guy who gave us introvert and extrovert, told us. He clearly said that there is going to be a little bit of everything in everybody's situation. In fact, he went on to say that if you find somebody who's purely one and none of the other, that person's likely confined to an insane asylum. So it is very important that you have a product that shows you the whole spectrum of who that person is, not just silo them into one personality temperament or an adjective. One of these products will give you an adjective. Are they a controller? Are they a thinker? Are they a maverick? Are they a servant? It's unfortunate that these personality assessments will silo individuals into one description of who that person is and almost say, well, if they're a maverick, they can't be a servant. If they're a servant, they can't be a controller. If they're a controller, they can't be a thinker. And that's simply not true. We have results, clients that have used this product that clearly show that they can be an absolute goal-oriented person, but have a high level of servant leadership. So let me get my face out of the way once again, and we'll move on. The strengths and weaknesses of the vital competencies that we have to understand. So once again, that's the competency graphic that we looked at. Yes, our product is going to show that. It's going to be very important to understand where an individual is when it comes to these 7 competencies. Once again, I want to reiterate, these are not competencies that we just pulled out of a hat. Scholarly articles, books right behind my camera. I have a wall of books on leadership from Goldman and Cotter and Bowman and Deal, just all kinds of fantastic leaders who would say, if you're not exercising the competencies that define servant transformational leadership, you are not going to be effective in the long run. Our product shows the strengths of those vital competencies against the ever presence of personality behaviors that are there. So what else? Well, our product will reveal the potential for toxicity. What does that mean? That means while you can run a personality assessment on an individual and that assessment might come back, let's say you're hiring for a project manager, and the assessment comes back and says they're a strong, goal-oriented person. They are going to be absolutely great for your product manager. That's what these assessments are going to suggest. They're going to come out and tell you that an individual is great for a position based on personality. Once again, psychological, sociological studies are telling us worst way to qualify somebody for a position is through personality. But that's what these assessments are going to do. What SKAN PRO does is not only gives you a clear picture of the totality of the human element from their personality, but as if their servant leadership scores are low, this is going to suggest that this person might be a dangerous hire. They might be a toxic individual. Or if you have a problematic employee in your organization or somebody that's starting to become a little bit problematic, this assessment is going to tell you why and tell you how to help improve that person before you ultimately fire them. Yes, SKAN PRO is the only product that reveals potential for toxicity. Now, knowledge for future development. Let's look at this from a talent acquisition perspective. We have clients that are using SKAN PRO to pre-screen people who are going to come into their organization. Now, just as we saw with case studies 1 and 2 in that matrix just a few moments ago, we saw that case study number 2 had a really strong score. But remember, we pointed out that their empowering competency was a little low. That is very important. So while you would look at their resume and check their references and their assessment is going to come out and say, this is going to be a solid employee. Now you know how to actually lead this person to help them develop futuristically that is unique only to them. We're going to show you through the results of SKAN PRO how each and every person that you are going to hire in the future or that you currently have employed, how they specifically need to be helped. That is what you want to do. You want to help improve your employees, but you want to know what their specific needs are. SKAN PRO is going to show you how you can help each individual person become the best version of themselves. SKAN PRO is also the only product out there that has an anti-cheating algorithm. What do we mean by this? Well, we mean that as the product is deployed, the software randomizes the order in which the scenarios are presented. There's 50 scenarios in the assessment, and it's multiple choice, 3 choices. So there's 2 ways that our anti-cheating algorithm is functioning. One is for every scenario, there is 3 versions of one scenario, and the software is making a decision which scenario is going to be used. This is a very important thing to keep in mind so that you know that when you're hiring a person, you're getting the purest version of that individual, not cheated, not gamed. They can't memorize this. It cannot be cheated and gamed. So there are 2 levels of an anti-cheating algorithm. Not only are the scenarios, do they have 3 different versions, but within the assessment itself, the numbered order is being rearranged every time. So there's really no way somebody can come along and memorize this or even try to figure out how to manipulate the system so that they can get the best result so that you would hire them. And finally, this is something that comes as a shock to some people, but the assessments that are available out there right now, you can go online and you can find YouTube videos or articles or whatever it might be that would allow the candidate or whether it's an internal candidate who's up for a promotion or whether it's somebody who's applying for a job, and I would just encourage you to look it up yourself. If people want to game the system to figure out how do I get the best responses out of these assessments so that I put myself in the best light possible for the job, there are links, there are videos out there that will show these people how to manipulate the system. I watched a video not long ago where the 2 top executives from the one assessment that's listed on here, right underneath ours, said, can the system be gamed? And they laughed and they said, yes, it can, but we don't understand why anybody would, because it doesn't help you understand who you are. The answer to why somebody would do that is as long as they know the job description, they can find out which responses to give you so that they fall in line with what you're looking for as far as results are concerned for this assessment. So Okay, that's a side-by-side comparison. Here is one of the things that you really need to know. This is what I'm super, super excited about for SKAN Pro. Um, let's go back to these side-by-side graphics, and let me get my face out of the way once again. But back to the side-by-side graphics, you have case study number one, case study number two. Now, let's look at this from a pre-employment assessment situation. You've got a job that's open and you've put your word out there, and you've got, I don't know, let's just say 50 people that applied for a job. And you have SKAN Pro at your disposal. And 50 people have applied for the job, and you've made a decision. We're going to pre-screen all 50 of these people. Now, what you want is the best candidates to score similarly to case study number two on the right-hand side of this matrix. You want to eliminate the ones that land on case study number one. You really want to focus on those. But what you don't want to do is have to open up our app and thumb through 50 different files within the software, and then try and figure out, print them all off, and then just decide, who, based on the scores, the obvious scores and the numerical scores. That's a lot of work. SKAN Pro does the work for you, and it looks like this. This is a prioritization graph that is part of this system. Now, as of today, this is what? Today is April the 8th. As of today, it's not live, but it will be live very, very soon. Here's what you're looking at. This graphic is going to take every single person who applied for a particular job, and it's going to prioritize them based on score. So when we look at the scores on all the way over on the right-hand side, we're looking at the overall score. Gold standard A is dictated as gold standard because they've scored an overall score of 5.0 or better, which is a culmination of both servant and transformational leadership. It's gold standard A. Gold standard B is they still got a score of 5.0, but look at their servant leadership. Look at gold standard B. They scored below 5.0 in servant leadership. This is getting dangerous. You have to have a solid foundation of servant leadership of at least a 5.0, equivalent to the overall score. They can have a little bit lower of a transformational leadership score, but we really need to see people having a solid servant leadership base to their communication and their relationship building. The reason for that is it makes transformational leadership that much more effective. Or silver standard A and B are scores 4.9 down to 4.0, and bronze are 3.9 and lower. I could go into some of these others, like obviously transformational leadership scores. That's going to show up in the graphics. Social receptivity is a very powerful piece of information for you as a hiring manager or as a director who is developing your managers that are underneath you. Social receptivities are coming out of the personality graphic. And basically, without going into too deep into this, it really helps you to understand, do people easily get along with this person, or is this person challenging? That's what social receptivity, norm, and extreme represent. Because there are personality temperaments who are a little bit more challenging to understand and process. And then there are temperaments that are a little bit easier to understand and process. This software is going to aggregate them and prioritize them and show you who are the people that might have a higher sense of personality, that might be a little bit more challenging, and lower. This is gold for you to understand how to develop current managers within your organization. Now, I won't get into the nitty-gritty of an ambivert. The ambivert is just a good balance between introvert and extrovert. This is just a really good piece of information for you to have. It's not a deal breaker when it comes to promotions or hiring, but it's just something that's really good to have. Now, when we're differentiating between team management and talent acquisition, here's how this graphic is going to work. I'm going to get my face out of the way once again. But from a talent acquisition, when we look at gold standard A, those top 4 people, we would highly recommend, of the people that applied for a position, the software is going to take all of those reports, all of the graphics, and categorize them from the best down to the lowest score. And it's going to aggregate them in gold standard A and B. And then, of course, silver. So if you're really looking at this and saying, look, we're so tired of interviewing all the wrong people, that SKAN Pro, first of all, is going to give you the best people that you could possibly hire based on their scores. And it's going to help you eliminate the people that you don't want to hire. So if it's a hiring situation, I would ignore people who score in bronze. I wouldn't even deal with them. If you want to deal with people who score in the silver capacity, then you certainly have that privilege. If it is a team management, employee retention kind of situation where you're running this product on your current employees, then what you need to pay attention to is those who score in bronze. They're already employees of yours. You don't want to fire them. That shouldn't be your first response. It's an expensive decision. What if you can develop them? Well, now you know how to develop them. Now you have their scores, they're falling below, their leadership, their communication is just not really where you would like it to be. You don't want to fire them, but you do want to invest into them. SKAN Pro is going to show you exactly how to invest into these people, saving you lots of money in employee turnover. So this is a feature that's going to be absolutely beautiful for you. So if you're in the market for something different, something new, we would encourage you to try SKAN Pro by ExecuSpect. Give this product a try. Reach out to us. Give us a call. You can find me on my LinkedIn page, ExecuSpect Leadership Development. You can reach us there, or you can find me. I am Dr. Mike Rodebarger, and I'm going to post this video on my page as well as the business page. But if you're just wanting to try something, our prices are better than the ones out there. We happen to know that we are very competitive with our pricing. Give us a call. Let's have a conversation about this. I really think you're going to love SKAN Pro for not just talent acquisition, but how to continuously and effectively develop the team that you already have. This is going to be the best product you have purchased. I promise you that. You're going to love it. Reach out, give us a call. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day.